Finance Minister, I want to follow this question up with a broader point about the North-South divide. Fastest growing economy in the G20 nations, faster than any of our rivals. Fourth largest stock market, which is turbocharged right now. But do you think the North-South divide is a crucial concern that will escalate during the election campaigning?
Yeah, obviously, because they'll want to escalate it because it can keep the narrative going in the direction in which they want the narrative to go. But matter of fact, this has been one of those pet themes of state-level parties which think it's good to hit at the center and nobody from the center can come and defend themselves in that state, for instance. So when you have this debate going, I grew up in a Tamil Nadu, which I've heard, even with the Congress party in power in the center, and subsequently every time there was an alliance with the state party, Congress party was an alliance. Even then I've heard comments like, Vadakku vazhudhu terkku theyudu, meaning North prospers and South is theyudu is ragad karke kuch hota hai. You become thinner and paler and everything? So this kind of a narrative I've heard even Tamil Nadu, even when center was ruled by Congress party. It's a typical political narrative which particularly the Dravidian parties, particularly the DMK, has always used to give an impression that center is not doing its due to the state. And none of the ministers in the center, even one or two of them who are from Tamil Nadu themselves, would take it upon themselves to go and defend the center. I would want to believe the center did not discriminate the states even then and even now. But ministers who are part of the central government even at that time, alliance partners of the party DMK, wouldn't go to Tamil Nadu and take the pains to say, no, center doesn't discriminate. So that narrative happily found traction. But today, no, sorry, each one of us go there to say what we are doing, and therefore there are friction points in the narrative. So that is a typical Dravidian political narrative which believes in showing this country as being different in the south and the north being ruled by mostly or largely by non-Tamil or non-South Indian language speaking people in power, so it sells as an argument. But that's not fair at all.
Madam Finance Minister, as we look back at the 10 years of the Modi Sarkar, on the economic report card, there are areas of strength and achievements, and then there are some concerns. I want to draw your attention to two visualizations compiled by the India Today Data Intelligence Unit and get you to comment on your strategy to deal with these. These are economic realities. I want to understand how you're dealing with them. I'll take shrinking consumer spending first. So on your screen coming up is a visualization that maps consumer spending going back to 2 decades. So if you see, consumer spending over the last couple of years has actually come down to levels below where we were a couple of decades ago. Do you see this as being normal? There's a lot of concern in some economic circles that consumer spending is going down, and why, and whether beyond the big headline economic growth numbers, there is underlying stress. So that's one. The second is to do with household savings. So if you call up the visualization on household savings, here as well, there is some concern in terms of whether household saving, which has really been one of the strengths of the Indian economy, because Indians, unlike more profligate consumers in the West, tend to save more, whether that is changing and whether that again at some level is representative of economic stress. So if you look at those, I'm sure you've had an opportunity to absorb what the trend lines are suggesting. So Madam Finance Minister, your sense on the concern that behind the growth numbers is an underlying stress reflected and captured in these charts.
I'll first take on the household savings. Yes, the number which is shown is based on savings, small savings. And there are very many schemes through which we are trying to capture with better interest rates. Like the one which we gave in honor of women, we said you take up a fixed deposit before the 31st of March 2024, you get a higher rate of interest, and many women have started investing money into the fixed deposit because the rate of interest was much higher than what otherwise the banks would give. So by doing these, where the interest rate was remaining low for a long time and people didn't think it was worth putting money into the small savings schemes or the banks, we had to prop that up with specified targets with higher interest rate, which means we are subsidizing. But what is also equally happening and which doesn't get captured in this is people today, when I say people, retail, small people, are also going to the stock markets. Not just going through mutual funds, but also going through demat accounts which they open on their own. So actually since after 2020, you find that money is going to the stock market in the name of retail investments have gone substantially high. In fact, India stands out as one of those countries where retail investors are directly going to stock market. And that should also get captured and not seen as speculation. It's certainly investing their savings into stock market rather than putting into savings schemes. That's about savings. If you talk about consumption, there can be a disparity, and that will be a matter of my worry so that I can see how best I can help out in consumption expenditure. But consumption expenditure also depends on the items which go into the basket. And when you talk to the fast-moving goods which are reaching out the rural areas, there are dips and rises, but people are spending on goods which are consumer durables as much as they used to do when days were not affected by COVID earlier. So I think what is important for us is to see how in the medium term it pans out rather than get carried away by month-on-month expenditure analysis. It is important to know because you'll get to see how it's moving. But I would be looking at both with a larger screen before me.